Good morning, friends. Jai Hind. I'm Major Mohammed Ali Shah. I have the proud privilege and honor to be in conversation with the former Home Secretary of the Government of India, who has a very good knowledge of Manipur. In fact, the entire northeastern states, I would say, well, why only northeastern states? The entire country, I would say that further. And of course, when you are the Home Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, the Director General of Assam Rifles reports into you. So obviously, I mean, one thing is you get to know the intricacies from there. So now we will speak to Mr. Gopal Pillai about what he would think could be the way forward to bring about peace in a beautiful state like Manipur. Sir, Jahan sir, and thank you very much for spending time, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
Can I start?
according to you, sir, yes, sir, please, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. You asked me
So what
something?
according to you could be the way forward to bring peace in a beautiful state like Manipur, sir?
Yeah, what has happened in Manipur over the last few months is very unfortunate. It is a beautiful state with a lot of lovely people of all communities. I would not go into what has happened. That has happened. I'm now looking at what steps we can take to go forward to bring about peace in the state. I think the most important element of bringing about peace in Manipur and the way forward is to actually bring down the hate speeches and the rhetoric from all sides. You have to stop now blaming the other side for what has happened. We have now to bring things down. Don't blame the others. Bring your rhetoric down. Don't demonize the other groups. And this is applicable to all groups. So I think that is the first step which you need to do, and that is both public appearances through social media and so on. I think that needs to be followed by everybody. Simultaneously, what the state government and the law enforcement authorities have to do is to, I think, recover the looted weapons. You cannot have peace if so many looted weapons, which are basically illegal weapons in the hands of civilians from both sides. Those weapons will have to be recovered. And I think a very strict action is required by all law enforcement agencies, the police, the Central Armed Police, Assam Rifles, Army, and so on, to recover all these looted weapons and to ensure that the presence of weapons in the hands of the civilian militia, or whatever you may call it, has to reduce, so that you can give some semblance of peace and some comfort that security is being restored in Manipur. The third aspect, which is equally important, is that we have got now both sides, maybe on the cookie zone side, a far more disproportionate number, but you have people in relief camps who are actually in a lot of trouble. The state has been, to a large extent, at least that's from what I get from all sources that have visited the area, state has been absent, and most of the relief and rehabilitation has actually been done by community organizations, volunteer organizations, and others who have come across to help people in distress. I think three aspects. One, in terms of making sure that they have adequate food and nutrition in the camps, clothes, medicines. These are all now, already 4 months have elapsed. It should have been done the first month, but they are still not up to the mark. The second, on the part of the relief, is also the rehabilitation part. You need education for the children in the camps. You need health services to be provided, and all over and above this, you need some element of financial support for those in the camps while they are in the camps, because they find they've lost their livelihood. They're far away from their place of work. And at the moment, we don't see immediate prospects of them going back. We've seen what happened yesterday when even the last group of cookies who were in Imphal for the last 4 months were actually taken away and to the hill districts at night, fearing for their safety. So the prospect of people coming back in this situation will take a little bit more time, if some of them may not even come back at all. So then the issue of compensation comes in. And I think the state governments and the central government has to be quite liberal in the compensation, because that helps the people who have been displaced, who have lost their loved ones, who have lost almost everything that they had, to be able to slowly find their feet back. There is one aspect which I don't know, it's very difficult for me to, at this stage, really point out. But the rhetoric on one side, the political demands on the other side, etc., are in one sense also contributory factors to the tension between the communities. And it is not for me to say, sitting in Delhi, but I think if all sides can show a level of statesmanship and put aside some of these demands literally on the back burner while the above, what I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps take place over the next 30 days. And it will all depend on how successful and how effective those steps are there for people to feel confidence that there is a government that protects everybody. There is a government that will respect the rule of law, and people who will be compassionate and make sure that those who are in distress are given relief at the earliest possible. But this is something, it's a political call, which I think perhaps may help a little bit on both sides to bring down the rhetoric and the hate. And people will then, as I put it, there's a very large group, the silent majority, who are silent because they are sometimes afraid or because they don't want to speak out at this time, to be able to reach out and try and see solutions which can be worked out to the satisfaction of all sides. I think these are sort of what I would put it as immediate steps which need to be done by the government, the law enforcement agencies, social media groups like Facebook and all these WhatsApp groups and so on. They should all be now very, very strict to see that the hate speech and the rhetoric is actually removed from the sites or toned down considerably, so that people feel that there is a difference which is taking place on a day-to-day basis. I think I would stop at that. I think if this can be done, I think in the next 30 days you can have slightly more peace. I remember when I was Joint Secretary Northeast in '96, and the Naga Mothers Association came, and they gave me a badge, and on the badge was written, "Shed no more blood." I don't know, many of you would be aware in the army who were there at that time. They said, "Shed no more blood." I think that is very important for the women, the Mira Paibis, the women from the Kukis and the Zomis and the Paites and so on, all of them to realize that the time has come that no more blood be shed. I will stop here.
Sir, and lastly, before we let you go, just one small, I'm very curious about one thing. Sir, the government had set up, the state government over there in Manipur had set up a panel of 51 names for peace committee, out of which there were 25 Maite people, there were 11 Nagas, there were 10 Cookies, and so on and so forth. But that panel was rejected by a majority of them because many of them were not consented while putting their name in the peace committee. I personally feel, sir, that there have been a lot of former chief secretaries in Manipur. There have been former general officer commanding. They've been their former chairman, ceasefire monitoring group in Manipur or in Nagaland, sorry, who understand the entire northeast of India very, very well. And they're all, so to say, Mayans, if you know what I mean, sir. Like we are outsiders. So how they would be a neutral party. That's my take. I personally, I don't know if I'm how right or wrong I am to get a neutral party to ultimately mediate and negotiate peace in Manipur, sir.
Yeah, there are lots of interested groups. I agree with you. People who are the well-wishers of Manipur and would like to bring about peace. But at this stage, I think it will be difficult for them to really intervene because of the too much of the the hate speech and the rhetoric on both sides, which is not helping them at all. And you've seen even a simple thing like a Maithi lawyer appearing for somebody who is a cookie professor in Hyderabad, the case, and immediately even though he actually said I'm not appearing, but people went and ransacked his house and so on. So there is too much of this tension and hate, and people are not with the extremist is, uh, is getting too much of a free play. I mean, I think that it is time for the state to exert its authority. You cannot allow, what I call as hooligans or vigilante groups to take over the agenda and run the system. I think that is something which has to be stopped, and it with an iron hand. Because you are either the state government or you are not the state government. If you can't do that, then you have to, leave, resign, and go away. But you can't stay there and say, "I'm the state, but I will not act." And I think that is very, very important.
Very true, sir. Very well brought out by you, sir. Sir, thank you so much for your time, sir. Truly appreciate you giving out your valuable time. Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Jai
you.
Hind, sir.